Riding Hell for Leather, Chapter 6 by J.Miller. I woke with a jerk, elbow digging into dirt, heart hammering like it knew something I didn't. The sun hadn't cleared the horizon yet, just a gray smear over the square in Salem, Indiana. Took one breath to remember, we were on raid with that fool Morgan. One more breath, he'd get us killed. I shoved out of my blankets and kicked Mo. Up, Scout, horses first. He rolled over grumbling, boots thumping. Mine were already on, belt buckled. We yanked picket pins from Frog and Gypsy, led them west along the creek, crossed on a plank bridge, drove pins deep into tall grass. Horses dropped their heads. Hell, Mo, no knapsacks. He trotted back. I stood chewing the air thinking, my father's place was 10 miles west. Last night a few faces had stared, old neighbors. None spoke. Glad for it. Maybe today we peel off. Point Gypsy and Frog west toward the nation. Let Morgan chase his glory. Let him die for it. Mo came splashing back, boots shining wet, knapsack slapping his thigh. Dropped one beside me, sat on the cedar log. What do you think, Calder? I flicked him a look. Truth? 2 hairs from bolting. Head west. Done with fools. He plucked grass, chewed. Stay a beat longer, boss. See how it shakes. I grunted, fished matches from my pocket. Mo stripped cedar bark, rolled it tight, cupped his palms. I struck. Flame leaped, bark hissed, fire caught. I stared at the tiny blaze. Hell, Mo, I can't abide another day of this. He didn't answer, just fed the fire. I cut the slab of bacon we'd traded for the night before, thick strips sliding under my knife. Dropped them into the blackened skillet. Fat hissed and popped like a fuse. Mo flipped the meat with 2 fingers, grease streaking his knuckles, then poured a cup of ground corn into the next pan. A splash of water, a pinch of salt, batter thick as mud. He spooned it into the grease, edges curling golden. Smoke hung low under the trees, sharp and sweet. We ate standing, knives for forks, wiping our fingers on our trousers. I chewed, eyes on the creek. We're running on borrowed time, I said. Every mile we stay with Morgan puts another mile between us and the nation. Mo licked bacon salt from his thumb. We peel off now. We'll have a troop on our back inside the hour. You know that. I grunted, poured coffee grounds into a tin, set it on the coals. I know. But I also know a man can only ride so long with a fool before he ends up buried with him. When the eating was done, we kicked dirt over the fire and went for the tack. Saddles lay stacked under a cedar. I set to work on Gypsy's rig, tightening cinch straps, rubbing down the bit with a scrap of rag, checking the girth for fray. Mo pulled the blanket off Frog's back and shook it out. Leather creaked, buckles jingled, horses blew through their nostrils. We worked without talk for a while. Only the sound of brushes over hide, the creak of wet boots in grass. My mind ran ahead, 10 miles west my father's place, the nation beyond. The draw to break off, to point west, grew stronger with each pass of the brush. Mo broke the silence. We ride one more day, see where Morgan's heading. If it stinks, we slip. I didn't answer. I was looking at the tree line. A rider was coming fast from the west, cutting through the gray morning. Chestnut horse, sweat dark on its neck. It was Tom Baird, a boy I'd known since church picnics. Tom swung down before the fire's smoke had cleared. Calder, you old fool, how have you been? I heard Morgan come in last night, and I figured you were riding with him. I thought I'd come find you before he moved on. I stuck my hand out and shook Tom's. How you been, Tom? Same as always, he said, grinning. I tipped my head toward Mo. Mo, this is an old friend of mine, Tom Baird. And then at Tom. This is a friend of mine, Scout name's Mo. He's a man to ride the river with, I added. Tom shook Mo's hand. Howdy, he said, grinning. I trusted Tom like my own brother. To tell you the truth, Tom, I've been thinking about peeling off, heading west toward the nation. Tom's eyes lit up. Hell, Calder, do you know I've been wanting to head to the nation for years? We talked about it before the war broke out. Yeah, I know, Tom. But I've been with Morgan for a year and really hate getting out without a damn good reason. I think we're riding with Morgan one more day. See how it shakes out. Tom nodded. I'll tell you what, partner, we ride with Morgan for a day or two. If things go bad, we'll ride back this way. Maybe we can find you. You can go with us if you'd like. A big grin crossed Tom's face. You know damn well I'll go with you, brother. I looked at him. Well, I can't promise, but if we can, we'll ride by your folks' farm on the way west. And by the way, you better ride out of here before Morgan's men see that horse. They're in a bad way for mounts. Get that chestnut gelding out of here before he gets commandeered. Tom swung back up, clapped spurs to him, and headed west the way he'd come. My hand stayed on Gypsy's bridle. The leather was warm in my palm, choices narrowing like a noose. Tom's chestnut disappeared into the timber, hooves drumming soft until even that faded. I stood a long beat with my hand on Gypsy's bridle. Mo spat into the ashes, rolled his shoulders. "We'd best move," he said. I slung the Spencer across my back, kicked dirt over what was left of the fire. Mo gathered his sharps and bedroll. We saddled fast, cinches snug, bridles checked. Frog and Gypsy stamped and blew, eager for the road. Down the slope, we could hear Morgan's bugler start the call, sharp and bright. Men shouted, wagons groaned, coffee pots rattled. The whole camp was stirring like a kicked ant hill. We led our horses out of the trees and swung up. The column was already forming. Troopers in twos, sabers clinking. Morgan rode ahead with his staff, broad hat pulled low, eyes fixed east. The air smelled of bacon, sweat, and horse. Sun still low, a pale coin behind haze. We slid into place at the rear guard. Gypsy stepped light, Frog steady alongside. Dust rose quick from the road, hanging low under the trees. The road east toward Scottsburg wound between fields gone high with July grass. Fence posts leaned, wheat shocked silver in the haze. A blackbird darted low, vanished into weeds. Mo rode quiet at my shoulder, sharps angled across his thighs. "Short day," he said finally. "Better be," I answered. "Horses are hollow from the march." We passed farmsteads shuttered tight, windows blank. A woman at one pump drew water without looking up. Somewhere a dog barked once and went still. The land smelled of wet timber and scorched hay. By evening, Morgan called a halt at a crossroads. Troopers spilled off their mounts, yanking at canteens. We watered Gypsy and Frog in a ditch, gave them each a handful of oats. My Spencer rested across my knees, the metal warm in the sun. Mo crouched by the horses, filling canteens, eyes scanning the tree line. Orders came down to make camp before dusk. We peeled off with a handful of troopers and found a stand of beach on a rise east of Scottsburg, not far from Buffington Island. Good ground, dry, with a little stream at the bottom. We picketed the horses under the trees, rubbed them down, loosened cinches. Frog shook himself, sending dust in a halo. Gypsy lowered her head, cropping grass. Mo crouched by the water, cupped his hands, drank. "Feels close here," he said. "Closer we are to the river, the more likely we'll get cut off." I told him, "Keep your sharps handy." He grunted. I checked the Spencer, ran a rag down the barrel. Beyond the trees, we could still hear Morgan's main camp, the bugle calls, mules braying, men hammering stakes. The whole raid felt like it was breathing hard. We ate cold bacon and dry bread sitting on our bedrolls. Light bled out of the sky, slow and red. Frog and Gypsy stood quiet, heads down, tails flicking. The air carried a tang of river mud. We rolled our blankets out under the beaches. Horses picketed close enough to hear them shift in the dark. Just the smell of river mud and horse sweat drifting through the hollow. The last coals of the fire glowed dull under the beeches. Horses cropped quietly in the dark, chains clinking. I sat with my back against a root, Spencer across my knees, watching Mo's hands move. He'd whittled the bone whistle days ago from an old elk tine, and now he was braiding a lanyard for it from rawhide strips. His fingers worked slow and sure, the way a man knots a line on a boat. Every so often, he'd lift the whistle to the firelight, testing the braid, tugging it tight. I didn't say anything. Just listened to the horses breathe, the faint murmur from Morgan's camp down the slope. Mo looped the last strand, tied it off with a thumb flick, and held the thing up to the glow. The bone gleamed pale as moonlight. He caught me watching and gave a small shrug. "Keeps my hands quiet," he said. Then he set it aside and rolled into his blanket. I lay back with my hat over my eyes. The whistle glinted on the ground between us, a little piece of silence waiting for the road ahead. I checked the lever of my Spencer once, then laid it within reach. Mo did the same with his sharps, easing down onto his bedroll without a word. Beyond the trees, Morgan's camp murmured, a horse coughing, a hammer ringing, a bugle far off giving a last call. I pulled my hat over my eyes and let the sounds fade. Sleep came in thin strips. Every creak of leather or crack of twig dragged me halfway awake again. In the small hours, a drizzle moved through, cool on my face, then passed. Frog and Gypsy cropped quietly, tails flicking. My mind kept circling the same thought. One more day and we'd have to choose. The bugle tore the dawn open. I was already pushing up on one elbow when Mo sat up and slung his sharps. We rolled the blankets tight, shook the damp off, and saddled in silence. Cinches snugged, bridles checked, canteens filled. The sky was a pale smear above the trees. Morgan's column was already stirring, voices rising, horses stamping. A courier splashed up the path, mud on his boots. "General wants you to, now." We led Frog and Gypsy through the maze of picket ropes to where Morgan sat his horse, staff around him. He fixed us with a hard look. "Scout north and east," he said flat. "Make sure no Union cavalry's close. Move light, move fast. Report back at dark." We swung up as one, Frog and Gypsy stepping light, and pointed our horses toward the timber east of the camp. The column fell behind us quick, bugle echoing in the hollow. Another day had started.